It's 6:30. It's a little after 6:30. I'm sure we have a quorum. Why don't we call the meeting to order? Ann, could you please do the roll call?
All right. If you would please announce your name when I announce your jurisdiction. County of San Mateo. I think we have Carolyn here.
Yep, present, Carolyn Blady.
Thank you very much. And County of San Mateo. I thought I saw Carol Groom.
Yeah, Carol was here.
She's here.
She's
Carol's
here.
here.
Oh, thank you so much. Town of Atherton.
Rick DeGolia.
City of Belmont.
Julia Mates.
City of Brisbane.
Colleen Mackin.
City of Burlingame.
Donna Colson.
Town of Colma.
Ray Gonzalez.
City of Daly City.
Radas Megboa.
City of East Palo Alto.
Carlos Romero.
City of Foster City.
Sam Hindi.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Harvey Ryback.
Town of Hillsborough.
Larry May.
City of Los Banos.
Tom Faria.
City of Menlo Park.
Betsy Nash.
City of Millbrae.
Ann Schneider.
City of Pacifica.
Tiger Jazz Big Stick.
Town of Portola Valley.
Jeff Phelps.
City of Redwood City.
Michael Smith.
City of San Bruno.
Marty Medina.
City of San Carlos. City of San Carlos?
Laura was here.
Yeah, I thought so.
I saw her.
Laura's here.
Okay.
She's on mute.
Oh, okay. City of San Mateo.
Rick Bonilla.
City of South San Francisco.
Flor Nicholas.
Town of Woodside.
Jen Wall.
Director Emeritus.
Pradeep Gupta.
And Director Emeritus.
John Keeter.
We have a quorum.
All right. San
Great.
Carlos is here. I was having audio problems.
Oh.
Sorry about that, Ann.
Thank you, Laura.
We saw you. We were talking about the situation with
Not on the screen.
if you're not called on, please mute. We were talking about Ring Central Zoom types of meetings, and it is on these meetings that we not only have a quorum at every meeting, but we almost always have almost everybody, and tonight we do have everybody. So this is something we'll consider as we go forward. I would like to take a motion to set the agenda and approve the consent agenda, and I'd like to advise the board that item 7 on the consent agenda has been removed for tonight.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, that's a motion from Rick Bonilla and a second from, I didn't see who it was, but.
Mates, Julia Mates.
Great, Julia Mates, okay. Can we have a roll call, please, Ann?
Thank you. If you would please announce your approval or disapproval of the motion when I announce your jurisdiction. County of San Mateo.
Yes, Carolyn Blady.
County of San Mateo. Carol? Town of Atherton. Oh, Rick, you're muted.
Hit the picture down below.
Sorry about that, yes.
Now we'll go back
Okay.
and try to get everybody.
Thanks so much. City of Belmont.
Yes.
City of Brisbane.
Yes.
City of Burlingame.
Yes.
Town of Colma.
Find it.
Yes.
City of Daly City.
Yes.
City of East Palo Alto.
Yes.
City of Foster City.
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Yes.
Town of Hillsborough.
Yes.
City of Los Banos.
Yes.
City of Menlo Park.
Yes.
City of Millbrae.
Yes.
I started the video.
City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley.
Yes.
City of Redwood City.
Yes.
City of San Bruno.
Yes.
City of San Carlos,
Yes.
City of San Mateo,
Yes.
City of South San Francisco,
Yes.
Town of Woodside.
Ann,
Yep, yes.
Carol, this is Carol. I cut myself off, but I was trying to vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Carol. I was going to come right back around to you. Thank you. And the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, great. So the first item on the agenda is the chair report. The only report that I have is I just wanted to let everyone know I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to visit a floating solar array that has been deployed and gone live in the town of Healdsburg. There are 2 ponds on their water treatment plant, and the really interesting thing is these arrays are quite effective. They cover the ponds, and they are very beneficial to the ponds because they stop algae from growing. So there are benefits, and I know that there's a big discussion going on about putting solar arrays on the state's water duct that sends water down to Southern California, because they will help minimize the loss of water from evaporation. So there's a lot of interesting things going on in the field, and these arrays that I saw were extremely interesting, quite different than I had expected. That's all I have. The next item is the CEO report.
Thank you, Rick. Nice to see everyone here tonight. If we can go to the next slide, please. Happy Earth Day. It's actually today, April 22nd. So hopefully next year we can have more of a celebration for Earth Day, since we will all be together again. Next slide, please. What I'll go over today is our Spare the Air Leadership Awards, staffing updates, CC Power meeting update, legislative update, and regulatory update. I'm sorry, the agenda here is not quite in line with the slides. Let's go to the next one, please. So congratulations to PCE. Along with Silicon Valley Clean Energy, we received the 2021 Actera Business Environmental Award for the Spare the Air Leadership Award category, which was sponsored by the Air District. And this was announced on March 26th at the Promise to the Planet Gala. Just wanted to make sure everyone knew that we were receiving the award. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Welcome to Mark Hirschman, who is our new Director of Government Affairs. He started a week and a half ago, so he is fully engaged, and I will be having him introduce himself shortly and talk about some of the issues going on in the legislature. Next slide, please. We have 3 open positions right now, one for an energy contracts manager, one for our Los Banos community outreach specialist, and also a community outreach specialist for San Mateo County. So if you know of good candidates, please send them our way. In fact, Pradeep called me today for someone he knows who might be interested in the community outreach position in San Mateo County. So we are actively recruiting and would like to get these positions filled as soon as possible. Next slide, please. The CC Power Board had our board meeting yesterday, and the Ad Hoc Policy Committee had met last week with representatives from labor and the environmental community. And yesterday at our meeting, we presented the draft policy to the board, got comments from a lot of people, and basically we adopted an interim policy for the long duration energy storage project that with regard to prevailing wages, that we would require prevailing wages to be paid and that we would reference applicable labor code standards in that portion of the policy. And in addition, we would also include some non-disparagement language regarding union statements about CCAs. So I think this was a good outcome. We also added 2 additional members to the CC Power agency. Clean Power SF and Valley Clean Energy have joined, so we now have 10 agencies in CC Power. The overall load for CC Power is now about 36,000 or 38,000 gigawatt hours, which is twice the size of San Diego Gas and Electric. So it's great. Next slide, please. So there's been a lot going on in the legislature. I'm going to touch on a few things and then I'll have Mark continue on. So first of all, SB 68, introduced by our new Senator Josh Becker, about removing barriers to electrification, was presented to the Cal CCA Legislative Committee and the board, which they voted to support it. There was a hearing on Monday at the Senate Energy and Utilities Committee. It passed the committee and it is now moving to the Judiciary Committee. Okay. The next bill, SB 67, also introduced by Josh, 24/7 Clean Energy Bill. We provided a bill analysis to the Cal CCA Legislative Committee this afternoon, and they have taken a watch position on that bill. There's going to be a hearing on this bill. It'll have the committee hearing on Monday. And then also on Monday, SB 612, which is the bill that Cal CCA is sponsoring on the PCIA Working Group 3 issues, will be heard on Monday as well. Thank you to the cities that have sent in letters of support. I note 6 cities here that I'm aware of that have sent those in. Thank you so much. And hopefully we will get this through committee on Monday and the bill will stay alive. Next slide, please. So at this point, I'm going to introduce Mark Hirschman, who probably many of you know. So Mark, if you could please say a few words about yourself, and then also if you could take on the information, the background information that we wanted to share on SB 617. Mark, I believe Mark is here.
Jan, before Mark comes on, I think I have a question from Tom Faria.
Oh, sure.
Tom, do you have a question? I saw your hand up.
Oh, I had actually put my hand up a while ago, and I guess I forgot to pull it down.
Okay, no problem.
Regarding the solar arrays in Healdsburg, and that because we have our wastewater treatment plant still uses ponds. So I just sent a message to our public works director about it. See maybe if it's something we might want to look into. Thank you.
Great, great. I met with the public works director there. I'd be happy to connect you.
Oh, very, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question that's connected to the report at this point?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, it's a quick one. For Jan, regarding the approval of the policies at CCP, I know that there was, I think, previous discussion about not using any unbundled recs by CCP for anything, I think, but specifically probably for charging the LDS units that will be installed, we hope, at some point at some place. Do you know if there is actually a policy that says that CCP is not going to be purchasing any unbundled rec energy?
I think that's going to be part of the overall policy that we adopt for the organization. So unbundled recs are not associated with energy. So there's no way that those can be used to charge an energy storage system because there's no energy associated with it.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks.
Okay, Mark.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Chair DeGolia and board members. Happy Earth Day. I am very, very excited to be with you and joining the terrific team at PCE and working on these critically important issues. Issues which I had the privilege of addressing as part of my responsibilities for Senator Hill as his district director here in San Mateo County and on the Peninsula for the last 12 years. And before that, as a member of the Millbrae City Council, and say hi to my mayor Schneider this evening. And so it's really a delight and a privilege to be working with you and joining together on these critical missions going forward. I look forward to connecting with each of you individually, and as you have questions, feel free to please reach out. I am at my home office and can be reached by email. As Jan mentioned, this is a busy time in the legislature. Bills need to get out of their policy committees by the end of the month if they have a fiscal implication. If there is not a fiscal implication, there's another week to get out of their House of Origins Policies Committee. So a busy week this week and next week to get those bills moving before they would otherwise probably not get anywhere for the balance of the year. As Jan mentioned, we're working on a number of bills. One that's up on your screen right now is SB 617. I won't spell out the details that are there, other than to say that this is a bill that Senator Wiener has asked PCE to support. It would put cities in a position of issuing permits for solar installations as pro forma under certain circumstances, and it would also create a situation where permits could be issued pursuant to some kind of live video. And we note that some jurisdictions in PCE's constituency here already applies some of these provisions, and so interested to hear how that's working in your jurisdictions. Jan did send out an email to city managers and the county this week regarding the request of Senator Wiener, and we've heard back from a number. And if anybody has any further comments, happy to take note of that, or feel free to email Jan or me with your thoughts about the bill. Look forward to working with you on this and many other things in the time ahead. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Mark. So
yeah.
On this bill, we wanted to make sure that we didn't want to take a position on this if there were cities here that oppose this, or if this was going to be a burden. So that's why we're doing this polling. So if you can let us know in the next day, it'd be great, since the hearing is on Monday.
Could I comment there?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to say two things. I am going to be talking with my city manager about this, but regarding the actual virtual inspections is what it's talking about here. I've had a lot of virtual inspections at my property in Sonoma County. I'm in unincorporated county. They're looking at everything. Every single inspection is virtual. So it's working quite fine. I just use a program. I show them what they want to see. I talk, they talk back. It's all recorded, and it's working great in my case. Thank you.
Carol, are you raising your hand? Looks like Carol wants to speak, but you're muted, Carol.
Okay. I just wanted to comment on how fortunate I think Peninsula Clean Energy is to have Mark on our team. He just did a fabulous job for Jerry during Jerry's time, and I think it's just great that he's going to be joining us, and he knows the Sacramento like the back of his hand, and so I think we're really going to be well served.
Great.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes, go ahead, Ann.
Okay, Ann Schneider, City of Millbrae. I did get the email. I did forward it over to a couple of our staff here. The city manager is trying to get to our building inspector and find out just what it might be. The one concern that was brought to me about virtual or video inspections is how can you truly test, for example, the tension on bolts and things like that. So it would be nice to have more clarification on that. The other, doing this online is great. I'm going to have to be, because I think you all know me, I'm going to have to be pretty blunt. Both myself and our board alternate, Ruben Holliber, were a little bit concerned because Scott Wiener bills tend to have really unintended consequences on cities, housing being the #1 thing that we're in a problem with here in Millbrae with. So I'm a little hesitant to support it. And the other thing is kind of harder to say. Millbrae has apparently had a reputation going back for quite some time that our building inspectors never really did much of an inspection anyway, and you could get away with anything in Millbrae. We are trying to change that. We have a whole new building inspecting team, tightening up the rules, trying to change that reputation. So I like the idea of virtual inspections. I get it. I want solar everywhere. But given what our city is trying to fix from times past, if you were to ask me to support this right now, I personally would say no. But we're still waiting to hear from our building inspecting division to see what they think. But right now, there's just too many unknowns for my city and what we're currently going through.
Okay. Jen, is your report finished or you're muted?
Sorry, I do have a little bit more.
Okay.
I know we've been trying to cut down on these, but there's a lot to share tonight.
No problem.
Okay, so the next area that I wanted to get into is regulatory updates. We're almost done, actually. So there's a few things to report on. So we filed a advice letter with the Public Utilities Commission to implement the Disadvantaged Communities Green Tariff and Community Solar Green Tariff program. And that advice letter was approved by the PUC on April 15th. So we're very happy to be proceeding with that. Ours was approved as well as the ones of other CCAs who are also engaging in this. So our next steps are to procure an interim resource for the DAC GT program while we build our own. And then we have to issue a solicitation within 60 days of this approval for additional procurement. And then we're also looking at how we will be enrolling PCE customers on this. So we're very excited to be moving forward on this. The next item is the Working Group 3 decision, which was this is what SB 612 is about. This legislation was put forth because the PUC was dragging their heels and getting a decision out. So of course they did get a decision out. When was that decision issued? They issued a proposed decision on April 5th. And the decision is not what we were hoping it would be. So Cal CCA is submitting comments. PCE will also be submitting comments, and we are actually holding some ex parte meetings with PUC Commission staff tomorrow and Monday to discuss the issues that we have in the decision. And we're continuing to move full steam ahead and trying to get SB 612 passed in the legislature. We can provide more information on that for anyone who's interested. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up was that Judge Alsup, who is the judge who is monitoring, overseeing PG&E's probation due to the San Bruno pipeline explosion, gave some direction to PG&E about the criteria they use to determine when to issue a PSPS event. And he seemed to broaden the conditions under which they might want to do this. So just wanted to let you know about that, and we can try to provide more information to you about his direction on that. But just a heads up that there may be more PSPS events happening than we expected. And then last slide, just updating you on upcoming meetings. So in May, we'll be having both the Audit and Finance Committee and the Executive Committee meeting on May 10th. We'll be going over the budget in lots of detail with the Audit and Finance. The Citizens Advisory Committee will meet on the 13th, and the Board of Directors will see you again on May 27th. So happy to answer any additional questions that anyone might have.
I do think that everybody on the board would appreciate getting the information on that decision, the judge's position regarding PSPS events, that everyone's concerned about that.
Okay. We'll try to get that in the newsletter if we can tomorrow, or if we can't get it that quickly, we'll send it separately.
Great.
Thank you.
Are there, I don't see any hands raised.
Rick,
Yes,
Rick,
go ahead, Steve.
Jen, about SB 67 on 24/7. I understand that you said the CalCCA is taking a watch approach on that SB 67 bill. Any particular objections on their part on that bill?
It's a very complicated bill, and I think they're not ready to take a position on it because there's a lot of questions that we still need to get answered. Additional discussions we need to have with Senator Becker and his energy advisor. So I think people are interested in, understanding it further, determining if this is the best way to move forward, if the method he's proposed in this bill is the best way to go forward, or if there might be alternative ways. So, and then there's also some concern about cost recovery, and if it's going to cost entities more to comply with this, is there some way that there can be some cost recovery for entities to move this forward? So I think it's just a complicated bill, and we're working closely with Josh and his advisor to try to help make the bill better, and I think others at CalCCA want to do the same.
Thank you, Jen.
Jeff.
Thanks. About the DAC and the community solar green tariffs, I assumed that the advice letter approval meant that we're now actually free to go out and look for new projects. I just wasn't sure why there was a 60-day solicitation. Does it just mean we just have 60 days to start an RFO or an RFP?
Yes, there's some timelines that we have to meet in going forward to get the resources for this program.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I don't see anyone else with a question or comment, so let's move on. The next item on the agenda is the Citizen Advisory Committee report. I assume Desiree will give that.
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, just a brief update from our meeting that was 2 weeks ago. Actually, our agenda looks very much like yours. We discussed our work plan, which is the next item you have an action item on. And we were also introduced to the Diversity, Equity, Accessibility, and Inclusion plan and process that was presented to us by staff member Sheena, as well as board member Donna Colson, as well as alternate Michael Smith. And yeah, I think the feedback from the committee was positive overall on the process that's being put forth. There were some suggestions to make sure that there's adequate input from coast side, especially from farm working communities, as well as from Los Banos. But overall, I think the committee was very happy to see this moving forward, something that started in our committee, and we're glad to see that PCE and the board is taking on. And happy to also have a couple of our members included as well. That's basically what we did in our meeting. Are there any questions?
I don't see anyone with a hand up, Desiree. So it doesn't look like any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a review of the Citizen Advisory Committee work plan for 2021.
Yes, good evening. And we're going to review it and also ask you to approve the proposed Citizens Advisory Committee work plan for the coming year. And next slide, please. Oh, I'm Kristen Andrews Schwind. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Relations for PCE, and I'm also the staff liaison to our Citizens Advisory Committee. Next slide, please. So first of all, I want to start by thanking the members of our Citizens Advisory Committee. We have 15 members who are wonderful advocates and champions for us in the community. Many of them have been involved with PCE since before it was even founded. And they add really important perspectives and are very active and engaged in our work. And we're just really grateful to have such a fabulous group of people who are involved. And one of the things that came about last year actually is that we decided they should have a work plan, and that as a part of that, we want to prescribe some really specific projects. Actually, the Citizens Advisory Committee suggested that they get involved in some specific projects in which they can work closely with staff members and get into the weeds a little bit in ways that are difficult to do in their general meetings. So that was what the impetus for approving their first work plan last year in July. So that came before the board and you approved that. Included a list of specific projects, which the CAC then formed some ad hoc working groups to work on. Many of those projects are now complete, and so the Citizens Advisory Committee has requested that we come forward with a revised and updated work plan for this year. Next slide. So the process is that I polled staff members in each department for projects that they thought would be useful to work with CAC members on. The CAC and the Executive Committee both weighed in on this and given some good input. And so this has been vetted by some of your peers. And I want to mention that in addition to some of the projects in the renewed work plan, the CAC members would continue to serve in their core roles as defined in the founding documents that in which you created the Citizens Advisory Committee. They'll continue to act as a liaison, provide feedback on PC policy and operational objectives, engage in community outreach, and assist in legislative advocacy as needed, and provide forums for a wide range of discussions. And recently we had a Citizens Advisory Committee member, Diane Bailey, who organized a great panel on building electrification with some staff from our peer organizations. So that was a good example of how that's developing. Next slide, please. So I've got 3 slides that look like this with this table that have the different proposed projects. The first project is to assist the design and launch of our income qualified home upgrade program. Alejandra on our programs team would like some assistance from the CAC with developing community relationships and outreach and reviewing technical design guidelines and outcomes to the program. And we're proposing as a deliverable for that, a brief memo summarizing the input given there. For supporting building electrification, this has been very important work that the CAC has been doing for the last couple of years, supporting the community education around our REACH codes to help communities feel comfortable about passing those codes. So it's really contributed to the success of that program, and as well as giving input on other electrification measures and their importance to our goals. Next slide, please. Philip requested assistance with assessing our EV charging infrastructure permitting processes across our jurisdictions. We understand those can be a little bit uneven across cities, and we'd like to see where those are at and see if we can help Greece will be able to make those a little bit easier. So that's a good research project for our CAC members. And then moving on to our distributed energy resources, we'd like support for identifying sites for community solar installations. And this is specifically, as Jan mentioned, in DAC communities. And so we're looking for folks who are looking for introductions to site managers and good potential sites for this in disadvantaged community census tracts as defined by the EnviroScreen. Next slide, please. We would like also some assistance in conducting a literature review on methods for establishing quantifiable value streams for the benefits of microgrids. Something that we would like to do, but staff doesn't always necessarily have time to do. So this is something that we have a number of CAC members who are very interested in. It's doing a little bit of a literature review there. Also providing feedback to staff on criteria for choosing future community distributed energy resource projects. And then finally, in our education work, leveraging the impact of our existing PCE educational resource, our student activity packet, by helping us get that out into more schools. So those are the specific projects that are in the work plan. In your memo, there's a one-page sort of preamble to these projects that lay out the work plan, and then there's the list of projects as well. And tonight we'd like to ask you to go ahead and approve this, and then our CEC will dig in and get started.
Great. Thank you. Very good report, Kirsten. If there are any questions now, about the different CAC projects that are proposed, this would be a great time to ask those questions. I was at the meeting and listened to the engagement. The CAC is very engaged on all of these items, I don't know if they've assigned someone to each of them, but that will be happening once they're approved. So if we don't have any discussion, if I can get a motion to approve this, I would appreciate it.
I'll move to approve.
Public comment.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Let's first take public comment. Is there any public comment on these CAC proposed projects? Great. I don't see any public comment. Okay, Jeff, were you making the motion?
Yes, I'll move to approve the work plan.
Second.
Okay, that's a second from Ann Schneider, a motion from Jeff Alves. Ann, can we have a roll call, please?
All right, if you would please announce your approval or disapproval of the motion when I announce your jurisdiction. County of San Mateo.
Yes.
County of San Mateo.
Yes.
Town of Atherton.
Yes.
City of Belmont.
Yes.
City of Brisbane.
Yes.
City of Burlingame.
Yes.
Town of Colma.
Yes.
City of Daly City.
Yes.
City of East Palo Alto.
Yes.
City of Foster City.
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay.
Yes.
Town of Hillsborough.
Yes.
City of Los Spanos.
Yes.
City of Menlo Park.
Yes.
City of Millbrae.
Yes.
City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley.
Yes.
City of Redwood City.
Yes.
City of San Bruno.
Yes.
City of San Carlos.
Yes.
City of San Mateo.
Yes.
City of South San Francisco.
Yes.
Town of Woodside. Woodside? Jen? The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the review of the diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion process, which I think Shana is going to lead.
Yes, I will also probably tag in Donna or Michael or some members of the board subcommittee as well as I'm presenting. But my name is Shana and I'm operations specialist at Peninsula Clean Energy. I'm usually behind the scenes maneuvering the slides, but I'll be presenting today. So I'll move on to the next slide. On to the next slide. So we'll start off with some background, including discussion of our Citizens Advisory Committee Equity Statement. We'll move into the regulatory piece under Senate Bill 255, and we'll go more into the logistics and details of the DEAI project, the scope of work for our potential equity consultant. Jump in. In July 2020, the CAC formed an equity working group with the primary task of ensuring equity as a priority across all working groups and built into PCE strategic priorities. And we created a draft equity statement that is on our next slide. And the CAC's draft equity statement was accepted by the board at your January meeting. And at that meeting, the board formed a subcommittee to work with the CAC to build on the draft equity statement and create a DEAI statement or policy and an action plan for Peninsula Clean Energy. So here is the CAC equity statement. I will not read the whole thing, but the CAC felt very motivated after the death of George Floyd in May 2020 to create the statement and bring it to our board of directors for consideration and adoption. They didn't want a statement to be purely performative and wanted the creation of a mechanism to ensure accountability on an ongoing basis. I'll pause a little bit. I'll move on to our next slide. Would also like to provide some information on a new regulatory requirement that affects Peninsula Clean Energy. So Senate Bill 255 is a bill signed by Governor Newsom in late 2019, and it requires community choice aggregators like Peninsula Clean Energy to annually submit a detailed plan for increasing procurement from small, local, and diverse business enterprises and file a report of our procurement activities in the prior year. It does this by amending sections of the Public Utilities Code and brings us into the fold of the CPUC's Utility Supplier Diversity Program. This program focuses on the positive downstream economic effects of including diverse suppliers within utility supply chains. And it has been in place since the late 1980s and has historically focused on private investor-owned utilities procurement. Due to us being a public agency and as a community choice aggregator, we face some challenges with this program. And one of those challenges is that we have to be compliant with Proposition 209 and cannot have preference on the basis of race, sex, color, or ethnicity in hiring or contracting. And another challenge is that a large percentage, approximately 90% of our spending goes towards energy, which is not currently a diverse industry. And there exists a high barrier to entry for small, local, and diverse enterprises to bid and successfully win contracts from utilities, especially as prime contractors. So it will be challenging for us and other CCAs to have a substantial percentage of our spending go towards small, local, and diverse business enterprises, at least initially. So however, there exists an opportunity for us to have increased amounts of community benefits reporting, and I will move on to our DEAI scope of work. Our next slide. So this is I will provide a summary of the scope of work for an equity consultant over the next few slides. And this draft scope of work is included in your agenda packet. And as an overview, the scope of work calls for our potential consultant to design a process for the board of directors and PCE staff to gain an understanding of priority DEAI issues to be addressed by Peninsula Clean Energy, create and update policies to address these issues, and then support staff in operationalizing these policies. I'll move on to a little bit more detail in providing a summary of the scope of work. So in the scope of work, item 1 asks for the potential consultant to review relevant DEAI legislation and regulatory requirements that affect Peninsula Clean Energy. So 2 key pieces of this include Prop 209 and Senate Bill 255, which I mentioned previously, and these affect our hiring and purchasing processes. Step 2 of the scope of work calls for conducting a DEAI needs assessment for Peninsula Clean Energy. And in doing this, we would like our potential consultant to survey all PCE staff, board members, CAC members, and key community stakeholders. Highlights from what would be included in that needs assessment are shared on this slide. These include fostering equity-fluent leadership, reducing implicit bias in contracting, employment, and internal organizational culture, and making issues of environmental and social justice a priority in program design and customer benefits, and also improving performance on required regulatory reporting related to DEAI. Move on to our next slide. Step 3 of the scope of work calls for the development of an organizational DEAI statement in conjunction with the board DEAI subcommittee, with the basis for that policy being the CAC Equity Statement. And additionally, we would like other relevant policies and plans to be updated, including our strategic plan, employee handbook, and our policies 9 and 10, ethical vendor standards, and inclusive and sustainable workforce policy. And in step 5, the scope of work calls for the creation of accountability metrics to diagnose how we are performing these policies, description of actions that we can take to implement them, and tools to report on this work annually to our board of directors. That was a lot, but well, I'll take questions at the end. So this is our proposed RFP timeline. I've highlighted in red 2 places where we are planning to meet with the board subcommittee on DEAI. We actually met with them today, April 22nd, and we plan to meet with them again in early June after we receive responses, and we'll have them interview respondents and select the consultant. And in June or July, we anticipate the board approving the full contract. This is our proposed timeline for the DEAI project. We anticipate the project starting in July or August of 2021, and we anticipate a similar timeline to our strategic planning for 6 months. Here is the subcommittee composition. We have our co-chairs, Donna and Michael, and Roderick, Sam, and Carlos. Sorry, I called everyone by their first name. That's what I was doing earlier today, but directors. And then we would also like to keep the CAC involved and updated as to how this project is progressing. So we will ask the CAC to circulate their request for proposals to their networks in May. And we have asked for 1 to 2 CAC volunteers to serve as a staff resource to provide informal feedback on the RFP, and also could provide informal feedback to staff and the board as well. So that is all that I have. I will invite 1 or 2 members of our board subcommittee if they'd like to speak. Describe the process, perhaps Donna, if she's here.
Yeah, I'm back. So thank you, Shana, very much for this presentation. I really just want to thank you for the hard work you've done on this. You've really stepped up and owned this project in a thoughtful and careful, thoughtful way. I look forward to working with you, as I think do all of the committee members. And I just also would like to thank Jan and Andy, because they have really gotten behind this and put the resources from the staff side that we're going to need to get this work done. I don't know, I would just say if any of the other committee members have any comments, they'd be welcome, and just really appreciate the time and the effort on this.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in, Donna. So really excited to get moving with this process, building off of the great work of the CAC. As I'm sure all of you know in your own respective organizations and cities, this conversation around DEAI is something that we need to kind of put at the forefront at this moment in history. And I'm really excited as a new alternate board member for PCE to be a part of this. And we're excited to talk about this in a comprehensive way so that equity is at the forefront, as well as environmental justice for PCE. So thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions for Shana or the committee? And if not, I'll go to public comment, but if you have any questions of clarification, I'd like to address those first. I don't see any questions, so let's open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this matter? Okay, I don't see any public comment. Then I'll bring it back. Are there any comments from members of the board? Julia. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I just want to thank the committee and staff for working on this. I am interested to see, I'm glad we're working on it and taking it on. I'm also interested to see how some of the challenges that Shana mentioned, when I was reviewing the staff report, I was thinking that too, that, I think that the small and local business and diverse business requirement is just one that is going to be a challenge for us. So just interesting to see how the consultant will help us out with this. So I'm hoping we'll get some good proposals and find some good folks. But I think this is great. Thank you.
Okay, I have Rick and then Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say also, I think that to this point, this is a really good body of work, and I want to thank everybody who's been involved. It's really couldn't be more important. Was important for us 100 years ago. We're getting to it now, so thank you all very much.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge the CAC's role from, sort of start kicking this off almost a year ago now in the wake of the George Floyd murder, and really starting the conversation about this. And for sort of, it's turned nicely into, I think, a sort of a board-driven process. But I just wanted to point out, thanks to both the CAC and to our subcommittee who are taking this on. It's incredibly important work for us to be doing. Thanks.
Yeah. I want to emphasize that if you haven't read carefully the statement from the CAC that really initiated this and is part of the packet tonight, I strongly encourage you to do it because it's a really strong statement and they were extremely thoughtful in putting it together. I know they worked on every single word in the statement and they really provided some leadership to us on this, and I'm glad that we're taking it on. It's extremely important for all of us. I don't see any other comments, so we are at the end of our agenda, and it's only an hour. Board member reports is the next item on the agenda. Does anyone have a report?
Rick, this is Donna. I didn't have a chance to add it in earlier, but with regard to the bill that Jan is soliciting cities, our Burlingame approved a letter of support on Monday. So we're added to that list of 6 cities, just so everyone knows.
Great.
Thank you.
And Rick, I have something also.
Please.
Yeah, I want to thank Jan Pepper very much for her work with California Community Power. I attended the board meeting yesterday of CCP, and the presentation that was made on the policies, which are basically policies right now established only for the long duration storage project. We're a good product from a collaboration between the board the board members of CCP and Labor. And Labor walked away from there feeling like they got a fair deal. And we look forward to working together also with CCP to form their actual policies to go forward into the future with whatever projects may come forward. I think there's great potential with CCP, and I thank Jan for her part. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Great. Any other board member report? Okay, well, we have a short meeting tonight. We've ended in less than an hour. That's got to be a record.
That's Earth Day celebration for sure, Rick.
Yeah, Rick, there's a new sheriff in town, I see.
Well, no, I don't think it has a whole lot to do with that. But anyway, everyone enjoy the spring. Have a great month, and we'll see you in May.
Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Good night. Bye. Good night. Thank you. Night.
Everyone.